Yeah.
That's
I'm just
one.
excited to see how they do in India.
I know.
Alright, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I'm here today in Nashville at my friend's house. He has some really cool cars, so let's go and check it out. So this is his Audi station wagon that he just bought yesterday. Now let's hop in and check out the other cars. He also has a Porsche 987 Cayman, the Tesla Model 3, Model S. Well, the Model S is not here right now, so let's check out the Model 3. And well, look who's here. We have got company. That's Bo the Poodle, and the other one is Sadie. Alright then, we are all set to go for a drive. So this is the garage. That's his golf cart right there. And behind that is the Model 3. And that's the charger to charge the car. It's fully charged right now. And the charger plugs in this taillight panel. Alright, so time to hop inside the car. Grant is going to drive right now and give all the information, and maybe I can drive later. And well, it has Aston Martin style door handles. And look at that giant screen right there. And well, it's going to be a long in-depth video, so stay tuned.
So you want me to just talk about it?
Yeah, sure. Tell me about your car, Grant.
Alright. So this is a 2019 Tesla Model 3.
Okay.
It's a fully electric car, no gas.
Yeah.
Some of the coolest features of the car is autopilot is actually really one of the coolest features of the car. Really, the reason I got the car.
Yeah.
Being fully electric, I don't have to worry about going to the gas station and stuff like that. So that's nice. It's always full when I leave the house.
Yeah. And there are also a nice infrastructure over here to like charge it around.
There is. So one of the reasons I did get this car is there's charging infrastructure all through the interstates and highways about every 150 miles.
Yeah.
So if you're going on a road trip, which I take a lot of road trips with this car, it actually allows you to be able to charge and not really have to worry about running out of charge before you get somewhere. So that's one of the things that makes this car so useful here, especially in the States and a lot of places where they have a big charging infrastructure.
Yeah, and how many miles do you get per charge?
So this car will do 325 miles if you charge it all the way up.
Okay,
so,
and your Model S?
Yep, so my Model S, that's an older model, it does about 250.
Okay, okay.
So that one will do about 250 on a full charge.
Okay.
I wish I would have bought the bigger battery, but it is what it is.
Okay.
This one of the reasons I actually got this after I had my Model S was this one at the time actually went further than the Model S. It went 325 miles. I think at the time the furthest Model S went like 300 miles.
Okay.
So, and of course right after I got this car, a Model S came out that went much further. So, but that's just the way Tesla does things, is they don't do kind of year models and stuff like that. But one of the also really cool things about the car is the pickup and the acceleration. Passing somebody or 0 to 60, it's an incredibly
instant
quick
torque.
car.
Yeah.
Instant torque, which means there's just no lag. If you want to pass somebody, you can pass them, whether you're at speed or 0 getting up to speed.
Oh
you
yeah.
pass just about anybody you want. And part of the cool thing with the car too, the brake pads. This car has almost 70,000 miles on it. My Model S is the same. You don't really have to change brake pads and stuff like that. The car uses regenerative braking.
Okay, as in type of engine braking.
It kind of does its own version of engine braking.
Yeah.
It takes that extra energy. Like you'll see right here when we're going down this hill, I'll take my foot off the gas, and you'll watch it go. Black means we're expending energy, and when I let go, you'll see the regenerative kick in.
Oh yeah.
And green means it's taking some of that energy and putting it back into the battery.
Okay, got it.
So it helps save you a little bit of range.
Right.
Now, the really, really cool feature about this car we'll show out here on the highway, which is the autopilot feature, which allows you to pretty much sit back, relax, pay attention, enough attention, and the car will literally stay in between the lines for you, stop, go. You know, if you get too close to somebody, it'll beep an emergency brake for you if you need it to. As far as safety goes, it's literally a very, very safe car.
Yeah, and Tesla's autopilot is the benchmark right now.
It really is. Everybody's really kind of trying to play catch up with Tesla. So I've driven some of the other cars that kind of have lane assist and what they say is kind of an autopilot. It's just not where Tesla is right now.
Yeah.
So the way you engage Autopilot, you'll watch the screen. Once you see the little steering wheel pop up, it tells you it's reading the lines and you can engage Autopilot. So then you just double click your stalk right here down twice. It'll make a bing bong noise. This goes green, and now the car's driving for you.
Okay.
So, and you can adjust the distance you want to keep your car between other cars just by using the scroll wheel.
Okay.
And kind of adjusting the distance. When I'm on city streets like this, I tend to put it a little further away so the car knows to brake a little sooner.
Okay. So now it's braking on its own?
Yep. Now it's braking on its own. So it will continue to stay straight on this path, and it'll stay the distance that we've set behind this car.
Okay.
So it's constantly using its radar and its cameras.
Yeah.
It's reading the lines and making sure that we stay that
to maintain
distance.
the distance and everything.
So that's, I mean, this right here, especially, I cover a large territory for work. I drive a lot. So for me, driving fatigue and stuff like that, Autopilot is really one of the main features. It's actually made my life a little bit easier.
Okay.
Being able to allow the car to drive this. But so you can't just sit back and go to sleep when Autopilot's working.
Even on turns, it's pretty nice.
Yeah. So it does a very good job tracking the car and keeping it between the center lines.
Yeah.
And if you watch too, it's not just reading right in front of us. It can see this car and the next car ahead of us. So the cameras are actually tracking both. So that's one of the cool features. It sees much further ahead than you think. And so what it'll do from time to time, this blue will flash. It'll say apply a light force to the steering wheel. That is their way of making sure you're awake.
Yeah, and you like don't take it for granted.
Exactly. So you can touch the steering wheel. You also, if you're listening to music, when it starts to flash, if you turn the volume up or down a little, you're awake and paying attention. So that's their way of making sure you're not sleeping while this thing's going down the road.
Okay.
My Model S, which I didn't buy full self-driving this one, but my Model S has the other features too. It'll change lanes for you. It'll get on and off the interstate for you. It'll literally tell you when you need to get over.
It will even take the exit?
So, it'll even take the exit for you.
Yeah.
So, this one I honestly just got the base Autopilot because I'm really waiting for it to be legit full self-driving before I actually buy the full self. I want to be able to take a nap and just wake up where I want to, where I'm going. And when it's at that point, I'll buy the full self-driving for this car.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's honestly just a truly neat car. I mean, and for instance, they just changed the way this whole infrastructure looks on the screen. Tesla actually just sent out an update and completely changed the way this looks. So this is actually a little bigger now.
Okay.
The speed limit used to be right in the middle of the screen. They've shifted it over to the side. They've moved where the park reverse, neutral, and drive stops are.
So you receive constant updates.
The cool thing is, so from time to time you come out and you've updated your car and you've got new features. It's like it's like you've gotten a new car overnight. They change stuff and update features, and they find stuff that people don't really like or complain about and would like to make different. And they change those as people kind of like, which is nice. I mean, it's the over-the-air update. Once again, that's another thing. A lot of other car manufacturers are wanting to start to try doing that because the experience for the end user is just so much better. I mean, when you have a car that can actually adapt and change over time. Yeah. Because it's pretty much a computer with a giant battery on wheels.
Yeah. Because no matter how expensive car you get, after a year or two, the electronics start to feel dated on the old cars.
And that's the thing that's so neat about this is, the only buttons in this car is literally the buttons on the steering wheel and the buttons on the stalks. Okay. That is literally practically the only buttons.
It's a simple design.
Yeah. So the nice thing is too, since it's just a screen, you can continue to update this screen, change things, adjust things, and really, as far as the car looking out of date, it's so minimalistic. Oh yeah. You'll be able to have this car for years and years. Yeah. So the cool thing is, so now that we're coming up to a stop line right here, so it'll follow this car, and as this car is braking, the car is going to automatically, brake on its own and stop. That's nice. And the cool thing is, so now that this car, once this turns green and these cars start going forward, the car knows, and it's just going to continue on.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it even predicts, like right there we didn't have lane lines, but it predicts where you're supposed to be. So we'll see if it'll get. These sharp corners sometimes give it a little bit of trouble, so it'll slow down. Okay. But, I had to grab it right there. Yeah. So the real sharp corners will give it a little bit of trouble, but I mean it's just constantly getting better and better. My Model S, when I first got it, Autopilot was okay. It was good on the highways and the interstate. That's really about the only place you would want to trust it. Yeah. But it was very, very good at that. However, just over time, they keep sending more and more updates, and it just gets a little bit better, Okay. So, and I've noticed too, a lot of it, the predictive software, when it's like adjusting turns and taking turns and stuff like that, the car actually knows. It's just doing a much better job at changing those things.
And it will get better.
It's just going to continue to get better and better. So
they'll just collect data from everything and.
So what is? I think they said they have pretty much like a giant supercomputer that pretty much takes all this footage over time and analyzes it and predicts kind of predicts how people drive, and like in instances like this before, the car now kind of can predict, hey, there's supposed to be a middle line here.
Oh yeah, but there's not.
It used to not be able to do that, but we as people know that we should stay to this side.
Yeah.
So watching that's interesting. The computers are starting to realize, hey, the side of the curb is over here. We really need to stay to this side of the road, and it's starting to show kind of a middle line, which up until the last few years, it really did not do that well.
Yeah.
But it's just nice. Every time you update your car, it's a little bit better. This is the only, these Teslas are the only cars I ever had where I feel like my car is getting better over time.
Yeah.
And not getting like outdated and actually getting worse. So that's one of the things that's just really cool about these cars.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm waiting for, I really want a 450, 500 mile range battery.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of one. But for me, I would actually use something like that because I do. I drive a lot. I take a lot of road trips. There's a nice car. There's a nice old classic Corvette.
Yeah.
I drive off road, and for me, that kind of range I would really use. But most people, if you live near where you work, honestly, 250, 300 miles of range is pretty good.
So do you ever get range anxiety, like I'm not gonna make it, or
I have pushed
there's no charging for
I have pushed
station?
my cars. Both of them, I pushed them pretty hard. I've driven both of my cars where they have hit zero and been on zero for a few miles before I made it to the house.
Oh.
But it seems like, I'm not 100% sure if it's true, but it seems like with Tesla, kind of like with gas cars, when you hit E or like you hit zero and it says you're about out, it
has some reserve.
Yeah, you've got quite a few miles left, because I have hit zero before and then drove about 10 or 12 miles after it hit zero.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying everyone does that, but it definitely it definitely got to where I needed to go. But that's one of the few times, but I knew I was going to push the car really. It was very, very cold, which affects the range of the car, and I knew I was pushing the car really hard. So I literally just got lucky that I didn't end up running out of battery. But that's one of the few times I literally was like, man, because I had nowhere to charge except at my house, and I was 10, 12 miles away. And then, so one of the cool things too, we'll show you. So the acceleration in this car is really just.
Oh. That's instant. Yeah.
The acceleration in the car, and the cool thing is, even if you're at speed, you just put your foot down. The car just immediately.
That makes your head bump.
Yeah, the thing's a rocket ship. And this was not even the performance model.
Okay.
And my S is faster than this. The torque is even stronger on it.
Okay.
It whips your head back even more, which is, it's not. The bad thing is you get used to it. So I've had other cars. You want to pass somebody. You have a little bit of a lag with the combustion in your car. You put your foot down. It takes a second for all that power.
Yeah, and you have to downshift sometimes.
Yeah, to shift through the engine and go through the trans, and put the torque to the wheels. But with this car, the moment you put your foot down, it's just. That's 20 to almost 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, it does it at speed too. So if you're on the interstate and you need to pass somebody, or you're getting on the interstate and want to get in front of somebody, all you got to do is put your foot down.
Yeah.
That is literally all it takes. But this car, it does spoil you though.
Yeah.
It definitely does spoil you, because I get in cars that don't have autopilot, and I'm like, man, I got to drive it.
Yeah, you get used to it, and
you do.
When you get in cars which don't have these features.
Exactly. And it absolutely just spoils you rotten. And that's kind of one of my things. If I have to go somewhere and it's a long road trip, I'm just like, man, I miss my autopilot. So it really, which is great for Tesla, and as other companies develop kind of self-driving software, it's great for them, because that is a feature I want in the cars that I own now.
Yeah, right.
Once you've gotten used to it. So, most people that I've talked to that have had Teslas, they kind of suck you in, and you kind of keep buying Teslas.
Yeah.
There is some stuff. Some of the quality issues and stuff like that. There are some little stuff like.
Yeah, but that pretty much goes with every car company.
It does.
Yeah.
It does, and they continue to get better and better, and the production issues have become much less, and they've gotten better and better at having a little harder kind of QA standards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there's little stuff like that people will pick at, and Teslas are expensive cars. So if you compare it, buying to a BMW 5 Series or a nice Porsche. Their fit and finish, those German manufacturers, they're just known for fit and finish.
Right.
And when you're buying a car that expensive, most people if you've had those other vehicles, you kind of do expect that kind of level of fit and finish, which Tesla's gotten much better with.
Yeah. Being a new company, the fit and finish is pretty nice.
Exactly. Well, and that's supposed to Tesla's becoming a bigger and bigger name, but what most people need to realize is Tesla is in the world of a car manufacturer. I think this year they're going to make like 500,000 cars.
Oh.
Well, they're competing against people like Toyota and Porsche and BMW and Nissan, and they've been making millions of cars a year for decades.
Soon they'll get into mass production.
Exactly. So as Tesla ramps up their production, they clearly have good people that work for them, and they're doing a good job. And clearly, I mean, really, with the Tesla, what makes it cool is the software. The software and the hardware is really what makes a Tesla cool. I mean, that's really the feature, because there's not a lot of bells and whistles in this car as far as you get in some of the Porsches and the Audis, and there's just buttons everywhere. And there's tons of things to play with, and this car just takes
has a screen and
it's a completely different approach. But I mean, and then the neat thing is, and they add fun stuff to the car and stuff like that. So for instance, you can go. Let's see if I can actually get it to pull up. So you can go through. Let's see. We'll go to entertainment. We'll see if we can actually pull it up while we're driving. So you can go to entertainment.
Oh.
And so it's got games you can play. You can actually get on. It actually You can stream Netflix, Hulu.
That's nice.
You can stream stuff like that in the car. Now the video will only let you play when you're parked and charging or something like that. When the car's not in drive. However, the games, the passenger can actually play games while you're driving.
Okay.
The little script button comes up, says like, "Are you a passenger?" And you can pretty much say, "Yeah, I'm a passenger."
Okay.
So. That just came with the recent update that lets you do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's nice.
But it just has a bunch of fun little features and gadgets and just different things you can do. One of the nice things
it pulls on Google Maps, or it has its own map.
It seems to use Google Maps, from what I can tell. And down here, I don't know if initially it even had Google on it, but here lately I've noticed Google's name kind of popped up in the bottom of the screen.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's been there all the time. But yeah, so it uses Google Maps. So the nice thing is it's very accurate.
Yeah,
which
right.
is good, because Google Maps.
Yeah, Google Maps are preferred over any other, even Apple Maps.
Yeah. Well, say I've used Apple Maps sometimes. It ends you up in some strange.
Yeah, I've seen that. So I've seen Unati using it, and we have ended up confused.
And the nice thing is too, with some of the newer updates too, if you're actually, since I only have full self driving, but if you're coming up to a light and the light turns red, and you're still coming in at a high speed, looking like you're not going to stop, the car will actually beep at you and tell you like, "Hey, there's a red light." If someone pulls out in front of you, or you're coming up on somebody and they're slowing down abruptly, the car will beep at you. And the car in front of you actually turns red, like alerting you to like, "Hey, you're going to hit this person's slowing down."
Okay.
So, and a lot of the safety features in the car are just really, just really, really nice too. And part of the thing is too, as far as you're talking about range anxiety and stuff like that, you can go into the menus here and you can hit energy. And what it does is you can select an average range over the last 30 miles we've driven. If I continue to drive exactly the way I'm driving, and we average that, right now my real-time range is about 213 miles.
Okay.
As opposed to what it says up here is about 260, 259.
Yeah.
So
according to the speed and our road conditions.
Exactly. Speed, road conditions, temperature, that is our real-world range given how we're driving right now. And that's one thing. Some people, when they get Teslas initially, will say, "Well, I have 258 miles of range."
Yeah.
Well, that's optimal conditions.
Yeah.
So that is perfect temperature, flat ground, practically like no wind resistance. Wind's like behind you, pushing you like an airplane.
Yeah.
So if
you
you
have to be like
this, the car kind of recognizes. I'll show it. But yeah. So I mean, so if the wind's behind you, pushing you, there's just no lag. If you want to pass somebody, you can pass them. Whether you're at speed or zero and getting up to speed, you can pass just about anybody you want. And part of the cool thing with the car too, the brake pads. This car has almost 70,000 miles on it. My Model S is the same. You don't really have to change brake pads and stuff like that. The car uses. If Tesla gets Autopilot to work well in India with the way people drive around there, it's perfect at that point.
Yeah, right.
I mean, at that point, that software.
The car will get confused.
Exactly.
Yeah. They'll need more and more data.
Honestly, I think from when I was in India with you guys, I think the car and the way people drive there, I think it would just freak them out. I think the car would just sit there and not know to move because everybody would be going around.
It won't be the cars; it will be the dogs, the pedestrians, and the motorcycles.
It would. I mean, honestly, I think Autopilot would just freak out in India right now. But I mean, once you got to the highways and some of the interstates and stuff like that, it would be fine. But I don't know. Also, too, you'll have some of those interstates that have like speed bumps every so often.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if the car would know to slow down. The car might just like ramp over them. But I tell you, at some point, if Tesla gets Autopilot to work well in India, oh man, I'll go to sleep at that point and let it drive. I mean, if they figure out how to get it to work there, I would go to sleep.
They're planning to do it sometime next year.
I must say, they were saying they're looking to do a factory in India and start producing some cars there. And I mean, a lot like China. I mean, India is a huge market.
Yeah, right.
Especially younger generations, very interested in cars and technology. And I mean, shoot, India is it's almost becoming a hub for all kinds of technology and production. And I mean, there's a lot of
last
companies.
5 years, almost all companies are trying to come in India and set up.
It's a huge market. I mean, there's tons of people there, and there's people that are interested in technology and wanting to buy cars, and so I mean, I think it's a good market for them to get into.
Yeah.
The question is, I would just love to see someone use an autopilot on a road in India, and just somebody film a video of it.
Yeah,
just see what
that will
happens.
be fun. The car system will get brain damage.
Yeah, it would. I mean, it would just be flashing red all around you.
What's
when you're gonna hit
happening?
people. But one thing that's cool too here lately, the car actually has started to recognize, like for instance, it knows that's like a big SUV or van. It knows this car behind us is like an actual car. It has started kind of showing that it recognizes different vehicles.
Shapes and okay.
Yeah. So before everything looked like a Tesla car.
Okay.
Now they've kind of realized, like they've somehow they've written in the software, it literally recognizes like this car in front of us is like a little truck looking thing.
Yeah.
Like, it'll literally show if it's a car or a van or like a big truck or a pickup.
Okay.
Like that's that's actually pretty cool. But it's not 100% accurate, but it does a pretty good job of showing you kind of what kind of cars are around you.
So we don't have to visit the gas station.
That's
anymore.
right. We're just turning around at the gas station. But although it is kind of funny, I'll stop at gas stations, go in and get a drink, and people look at me like I'm crazy, and I'm like, I'm not filling up. I'm like, I want a Coke.
Yeah.
And I was went to a gas station one time. There was nowhere to park, so I literally parked at a gas pump, and I was like, I just need to run in and get something. People look at me like, that thing takes gas. I'm like, no. I'm like, there's just no parking spots.
Yeah. Like, how's the service and maintenance on this? Like,
Man,
for the batteries and motors?
So pretty much the batteries and the motors, I mean, they come with the 8-year pretty much like unlimited warranty on the battery and the motors.
Okay.
So the nice thing is I've never, as far as maintenance, I've had some little stuff. Like I had, like in this car, I had a control arm that was squeaking a little bit that I had, that I had them fix.
Yeah.
The nice thing is, as far as changing, like oil changes,
Yeah.
and worrying about replacing different parts of the car. This car is so simple when it comes to moving parts. There's just electric motor, battery. I mean, the wheels and everything are turning and spinning. But I haven't had to do brake pads on this car.
Okay.
And it's gone almost 70,000 miles. I haven't had to put brake pads on it.
Okay. And so the motors, even the motors don't need any.
The motors don't need anything.
That's nice.
There is from time to time. There is almost kind of like an oil. I think they said inside the motors that in some models are changed periodically. But
okay.
I haven't really. Every time I've taken my car in for service, they've never asked, do you want to change or anything like that.
Okay, that might be like the differential oil, which we change after like hundreds and thousands of miles.
But besides, I mean, honestly, the maintenance of the car is just easy. I mean, I do go through tires. That is the one thing I do because of the torque of this car, and I drive a little aggressive.
Oh yeah.
It eats.
That's
tires.
supposed to happen.
It eats tires. Like it just chews up tires. I change my tires fairly often in this car. I mean, my other cars I've had, I change them every 40, 50,000 miles. I'm changing them about every 20 or 30,000 miles.
Okay.
In this car. But a lot of that is me just driving fast,
hard,
passing people, and the motors just literally eat the tires up. Because I mean, tires and handling that level of torque just over time.
Yeah.
So I've learned to buy cheaper tires and just replace them more often.
Okay.
That's really what I do now.
So do you need winter tires or anything?
If we lived in an area that got a little more snow and stuff like that, I would swap out some winter tires. But the nice thing around here, I mean, even in winter, we get a little bit of snow and stuff like that from time to time. But pretty much, I just put all season tires on it. And I haven't had any issues with it so far. If we got a little more snow and stuff like that, I definitely would have some rims and stuff, tires that I would change out.
Okay.
For little snow conditions. However, the electric cars, I mean, they do great.
Yeah.
In that kind of weather, especially too. I mean, most of them are all-wheel drive, so it's nice. So you get good grip, even when it's raining and wet conditions and stuff like that. The car handles really, really well.
Okay.
And it's heavy, so it's very planted to the ground, which is really good.
Yeah.
With so much weight pushing it down, it does a good job gripping the road. But I can honestly say I've got to have a bunch of fun cars in my life. My Teslas have quickly become my favorite cars.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just. The ease, the convenience, it just spoils the rotten. And, a lot of times, if you have to go somewhere, like, oh man, I gotta go somewhere, and it's 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back, it's an hour round trip. Yeah. I don't care in this car. I'll turn Autopilot on, listen to some music, and just kind of...
You don't get exhausted as much.
You don't get driving fatigue from it.
Yeah.
It just... Well, it's just one of those things. I think as more and more people kind of embrace the technology and it's used more, I think it's safer. Computers and cameras don't get tired.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
You don't have to worry about reaction time and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, the camera, no matter how long it's been driving, it is going to keep driving and keep doing what it does. Its reaction time isn't going to get any slower, any worse. Oh, look, we got your sister calling. Hello.
Did y'all get lost?
We're just doing some laps. Your brother's recording.
Well,
Don't record this.
it's time to leave.
Oh man, Tyler's putting his foot down.
No, I am.
Oh, you are? I don't think that's how it works tonight.
We are here, just
My dog
outside.
is alone.
Can you change the tint on the sunroof?
So you could, like for instance, in this car, I haven't really done anything with the tint, but you could add some more tint to the roof. You know, and that's one nice thing. It's just like any other car, you could tint stuff. You can change a little bit of stuff.
So like I'm talking about the auto tint, which make it clear.
You know, I don't know. That would be a pretty cool feature if Tesla added. Like if this would actually, you know, kind of get darker and lighter.
Yeah.
Kind of adjust with the sun. That would be.
My friend has a SLK Mercedes coupe, and he can change the brightness.
Oh, see, that's cool. See, that's some Tesla needs that.
Yeah.
But see, like right here, going down this hill, the whole time it's doing regenerative braking, so it's literally the car's kind of braking on its own, and right now it's actually putting energy back into the battery.
Okay.
So.
Love that house. It's so big.
That house is crazy. When it rains a little bit, I'll do that. I almost slid into like one of the neighbors' mailboxes. I'm like, I probably shouldn't do that up here. Do you want to drive it real quick before we?
Inside?
Yeah.
I think. Okay.
Here,
Yeah.
Let's back it up and let you drive it.
We'll just do a
quick
around.
We'll do a quick lap. So to park it, literally, you just push in.
Yeah.
Like that. And
Yeah. My C class had.
I'm about to say it's just like it's literally a Mercedes style.
Oh yeah.
It's literally what it is. I should have my mom. Should have my mom bring that. Should have like a full Tesla review.
Can you hold this?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. So all you gotta do, literally put your foot on the brake. That starts the car. And like it's weird because you won't hear it start. You just put your foot on the brake. And literally the car just starts with no sound, which is kind of strange.
Okay.
Yep. And so it'll automatically adjust to where I like to drive from.
Should I change it now?
Yep. You can scoot it up. And then also to put it in drive, you just push down on the stalk. It pretty much is like a Mercedes.
Okay.
Stop. And then all you gotta do is we'll call it an accelerator since there's no gas.
Oh yeah.
the accelerator pedal. But yeah, and the handling is very similar, like a BMW like 3 Series, kind of smaller steering wheel, a little sportier suspension.
So you can change the modes on this.
Yeah. You can, like right now you can set kind of the speed at which it accelerates. Like there's kind of like chill mode, standard mode. You can kind of adjust how fast the car will accelerate and stuff like that. But say as soon as we get up around this corner, it's pretty straight, so you can actually hammer it a little bit if you want. It's fairly straight.
From here?
Yeah, it should. It's fairly straight. Once we go up this corner right here, it should be a pretty straight road. You can hammer it a little bit. It's a private street. I don't think they'll get us too much. But you can kind of feel literally how just putting your foot down just immediately.
That's insane.
It just immediately accelerates. I mean, and also that's just another thing about electric cars just in general. I mean, I've gotten a chance to play around with the Porsche Taycan, however they want to say it, Taycan, yeah. Its acceleration too. But it's very similar to the Model S.
Yeah.
It might even be a little bit faster.
Yeah.
But man, that thing's it's just, I don't know. Once you just have an electric car, it just spoils you. And you don't really want to go back.
I thought we'll have to, like, if someone gets an electric car for the first time, I thought it would be very hard on them. But this is not hard.
It's not hard at all. I mean,
you can
knowing
get
that,
on it.
Yeah, well, knowing that you're driving an electric car, it has changed my driving style.
You don't have to learn stuff about it.
Yeah, it's honestly the main thing with an electric car for this. Most people think it's some big shift and some big change. It's really not. I mean, it's honestly, you just drive the car like normal. The main thing is charging the car, watching the range. But just like with the car with gas, you need to know how much gas you have in it and stuff like that. And Tesla's just going to keep increasing, the charging infrastructure all over the world, and just making it better and better and having more access to it.
Isn't right?
But Yeah, say we can go right. We'll make a loop and come back.
The braking is pretty hard.
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
have to brake. The regenerative braking does
Yep.
stuff.
Yeah, that's one thing's getting used to too. The regenerative braking, as you have kind of have an electric car longer, you kind of learn a lot of times. I won't even use the brakes because I've learned when I take my foot off the gas, it slows kind of at this rate.
So
and
that's the one thing you have to get used to because when you
yeah,
foot off the pedal and it instantly stops.
Yep. And that's you know, once again, and that's just there's a few little things we get used to. Learning how to use autopilot, when to trust it, when not to trust it. I think some people trust it too much. Some people don't trust it enough. But it's definitely one of those things. There's a little bit of adjustment, but I don't think it's not as drastic as people really think it is. It's really ultimately it's just a car.
Yeah.
So
you
it's
learn that in a day or two.
Yep. And the nice thing is too, and I think they call it like one pedal driving with the regenerative braking. I've learned how to use it to the point to where I think that's part of the reason why my brake pads last so long too.
Yeah.
I've learned when to kind of let off the gas and just let the car stop on its own and put some power back into the battery.
Judge the proper time to leave the pedal.
Yep. Yeah. And that's it. And you know, once you drive a little more, you learn when to do that and when to kind of But I mean, as far as that, it's not a huge transition. But yeah, it's just like getting a new car.
Yeah.
Anytime you get a new car, you got to learn the buttons. It drives a little different, especially you get a manual. It shifts a little different.
Right.
A lot of it is really just learning those different things, which I think is no different from getting another car. I had to have a charger installed at my house. That's one thing you typically don't have to get with other cars is getting a charger.
A charger with the car or
so you gotta buy the charger separate.
Okay.
They do give you a charger with the car, but if you want kind of the wall mounted charger like I have at my house, you got to buy that separate.
Okay.
A lot of people you can have like it's called a NEMA 1450 I think you can have one of those plugs installed.
Oh yeah.
And then the cable that comes with the car will actually let you. Yep, just keep going straight. And let's see if we can turn autopilot on. When we get on this road right here, it might actually recognize that we can maybe use autopilot because it'll read the sides of the road.
How do we do that?
So what we'll do is look up here, and as soon as we see the steering wheel, let's see if it'll actually pick this up. It might actually do it. It's getting fairly decent here. Let's see. Sometimes it'll pick it up on these kind of roads. Sometimes it won't. We'll see if we can get the steering wheel to pop up. It's predicting pretty good. As soon as you see that steering wheel for a second, it's pretty good at reading these curves, but it's still like, see how once it starts showing lines, it's getting pretty confident that it kind of knows where it's going.
Yeah.
And then if we can get the steering wheel to pop up, let's see how good it'll be on this. I don't think I really ever used autopilot in the neighborhood, but it's fairly confident. Yeah. It's just not that confident. So it knows these lines are here, but it's just not trusting itself yet to really say.
Pop up after a certain speed?
Well, what it does is it pops up after once you start to see these lines, the car is really saying, okay, I see the lines, I know where we're going.
Okay.
And then once it sees those for really more a few seconds, and it's very confident and it's kind of locked in, that's when you'll see the little wheel pop up, and that's when you can activate autopilot. But it seems like here in the neighborhood, it's not being too super confident about where it's actually, whether it can actually take over or not. I thought maybe it would for a second, but we'll just keep going straight right here, and we'll just make a loop. See that? I'm telling you, and it's addicting too.
Oh yeah.
It's addicting too. It's gotten me in trouble a couple times. The nice thing was the last time I got pulled over, the cop was more interested in seeing the car and asking questions about it and didn't give me a ticket. So that was kind of nice. But then what we'll do is at the stop sign, we'll hang it right, and it'll just loop us back around.
Okay.
It's one of the nice things. The neighborhood is pretty much just a giant loop. So I wish I still had my Tesla stock. I'd have been smart to keep it, but I sold it a while back. But I mean, the way Tesla's expanding, and I think they said they're just now starting to produce the Model Y in China. I think they said they already had 100,000 or like 200,000 pre-orders for the Model Y.
Okay.
So, and there's a few people in here with some Ferraris and some Bentleys, but I hardly ever see them out.
Yeah.
But
they might just take it out on a weekend.
It clearly must be their sunny day car. But yeah, it is definitely one of those things. I just think, honestly, for driving and just safety in general, I think the more and more Teslas you start to see on the road, I think the more just cars with, that really assist in driving, I just think the more and more you see those, it's just going to be better and better, honestly, for safety on the roads and everything. I mean, once you kind of remove a little bit of the human error factor, I think it really, really helps with just safety. I mean, maybe insurance will go down.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
just excited to see how they do in India.
I know. I'm telling you, that is seriously going to be one of the big factors. I mean, how well how well is Autopilot going to do? Which, you know what? I mean, the car is constantly taking in information and reading it. And
Yeah.
I think in India, y'all's traffic problem might go down if everybody had an electric car that had Autopilot. But I think it would actually be pretty good for traffic in general. You can maybe get to your place from Mumbai in maybe 45 minutes instead of an hour and a half.
Oh yeah.
So when Tesla starts pumping out cars in India, you're gonna have to get one.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, say, get on the list, be one of the first people, and make all the videos about Teslas in India first.
Right.
I'm also kind of curious to see how they price it in India.
Yeah, I mean, in Tesla.
So the first units will be straight CBU imports.
Oh, will they? Is that what they're saying? Yeah. So you'll. I wonder what the import taxes and stuff like that will be, and kind of what the actual.
We also have a subsidy on electric cars. So
oh, you do? Okay.
I don't know how it's gonna.
Yeah.
work.
So it'll be interesting to see how that works, because I think at some point they will. I mean, in a lot of the major countries, they're putting factories in the major countries. I mean, they're doing one in Berlin. They've got the new one. They're putting the Gigafactory Texas, where they're going to build the truck or whatever. I mean, they're building factories like crazy.
Yeah. Just park it there.
Yeah. You can just pull it forward and just park it somewhat in this area. It don't matter. But yeah, so pretty much it just uses the Tesla app. It's literally how you can control the car. So this acts as the key. You can turn if it's cold outside, you can turn the climate on in the car.
Okay.
So it's warm it up for when you're coming out. You can adjust charging, how far you want the car to, the rate at which you want the car to charge.
Okay.
And literally, so it's pretty cool. Everything for the car is pretty much just built into the app, and it uses the Bluetooth from the phone. As the
I
key.
thought you have to use a key because Una told me you have a car-like key.
I do have a little card, so I can show you that too. And that's kind of more. You kind of use it for valet as a backup key. But the cool thing is too, since I have multiple Teslas. So the cool thing is you can actually flip through the car. So that's my model. It's my Model 3, and you just swipe over, and that's my Model S. You can control it too. So it's pretty neat. And so you can literally just jump between cars. Okay. So if you need to activate your key, you can just flip between cars and start it and turn it on and lock it. It's pretty cool. Yeah, and you do have a little card. Say it's in my wallet. But yeah, it looks like a little bank card almost, a credit card that just says Tesla. Like that's it. It's a little black card. Because I've handed it to people before. I'm like, that's the key. And they're like, what?
So whole new experience for me to drive a full electric car. And the next video is going to be about this Porsche right here. So stay tuned for that. Alright guys, so that's it for today. That was driving Grant's Tesla Model 3. And thank you so much to Grant for letting me drive and for all the information on the car.
No problem, anytime.
Yeah. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.